On November 21st, 2023, the news hit that CZ of Binance was stepping down as the CEO of Binance. And that sent a shockwave through the crypto industry. And the headlines read that Binance has agreed to pay $4.3 billion for money laundering violations. And all of the traditional media outlets, the ones that normally hate on crypto and everything, are running with this and basically saying, okay, see, we told you this guy was a crook. We've been telling you for years, so on and so forth. But I'm going to break this down and show you plainly who the real crooks are. I have all the evidence. Everything is documented, right? And I'm going to break this down like few people can, okay? But before I get started with that, I think it's important that you understand the significance that CZ played in the role of overall crypto adoption. Okay, so Bitcoin obviously was the beginning of crypto. It was a new way for people to engage in an economy on a peer-to-peer basis. It was created because of the 2008 financial crisis, which I'm going to talk about later in this video, okay? And I came to know Bitcoin in 2013. And literally there were no official US crypto exchanges in 2013. There were literally none, okay? I had to use a Russian site to buy my crypto, okay? And that's how I got in, right? And generally speaking, Bitcoin was built on privacy. It was the first time that you can interact with finances without needing ID. That is the premise of Bitcoin, right? But when a US based exchange came out, it was Coinbase, okay? And I had already been using Bitcoin for some time, right? But here comes Coinbase, and I'm like, oh, okay, this will be tied to the bank, thinking at that time that that's a good thing. You know, I'll just open a Coinbase account, okay? And so again, it's important to note that up until this time, you didn't need any form of ID. And even when Coinbase came out, it was just like the Russian exchange. All you needed was an email. Again, the premise of Bitcoin is privacy. The premise of Bitcoin is inclusion for everybody. Okay, well, fast forward sometime, I don't know how long it was, a year, 2 years. I open up my Coinbase, and Coinbase says, we will now need your ID for you to continue with your Coinbase account. And I'm like, okay, I don't have anything to hide. This is good. If this is what's needed to, keep my account and everything. I have been telling everybody and their mama about Coinbase. I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. Immediately when I presented my ID and they saw that I was a black man, they shut down my account. That's what happened. And at that time, I was thinking it was just me. At that time, I'm thinking, hey, what's going on? What did I do? Right? I wasn't connected to people. Over the years, I have learned that I wasn't the only one. And the reason why I can sit here and say that it was as a black man, for those of you out there who talk about, oh yeah, here we go with this stuff. We deal with this stuff. But the reason why I found out that it was because I was black is because as I began to connect with other people, they all had the same story. Everything was cool with this other account. As soon as I opened a Coinbase account, they shut down my account and I had to move my crypto elsewhere. For some people, regrettably, that was the last time that they were involved in crypto, because they were like, hey, I thought this Bitcoin thing was supposed to be inclusive. It wasn't about Bitcoin. It was about these companies. And that's what you're going to find here. So literally, Binance was the first exchange that literally embodied what crypto was about. It was about come one, come all. That's what Bitcoin was about. And like Coinbase, when you opened a Binance account, all you needed was an email. Okay, so I just think it's important that you understand the role that they play, and this was true across the world. Whereas you had Coinbase and others who were and continue to be up until recently, because they see the success that Binance has had, they were mainly focused on the United States and the West. They're the only ones that matter to people like this. They were never and even within the West, they would casually discriminate against people that they didn't want to be involved in crypto. And there have been other exchanges that literally posted racist messages on their homepage, basically saying, N words, close your account. We don't want no N words. These are some of the people that are involved in crypto. Binance was not like that. So the reason why they grew the way that they did, as quickly as they did, within 6 months, they were the number one exchange, is because they were inclusive. So that's why you see the reaction amongst people who credit them being into crypto, because they let them in. You would honestly not be hearing my voice right now if it wasn't for Binance. These alleged things that Binance did. Binance turned a blind eye. This is Yellen talking, to its legal obligations in the pursuit of profit. In the pursuit of profit. I'm going to share with you how much profit that they don't even realize that Binance made. Its willful failures allow money to flow to terrorists, cyber criminals, and child abusers. Can't talk this morning. Through its platform. Okay. The Treasury Department said that the platform was used by groups like Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Al Qaeda, right? All the big bad people that they always talk about are doing these scams. Between August 17th and April 22, there were direct transfers of approximately 106 million in Bitcoin to Binance.com. From February 2018 to 2019, Binance processed more than 275 million in deposits and 273 million in withdrawals from Best Mixer. Okay, now I'm just going to tell you right now, just really quickly, even if these numbers are true, which we cannot validate, okay, the maximum amount that Binance could have made from these alleged deposits and withdrawals and transfers of less than $400 million in Bitcoin. The maximum amount would have been about $800,000 in profit that Binance would have made. And I don't even think it's that, because Binance does not charge you to deposit or withdraw. They charge you when you exchange with other coins, and their fee is 0.2%. So it's probably likely that they didn't even make that. But the maximum amount that they could have made from these transactions is about $800,000. Now watch this now. Binance will now pay one of the largest corporate penalties in U.S. history. Okay, we have to talk about that. Binance.com is not a U.S. company. They didn't establish themselves in the U.S. Because of the nature of Bitcoin, Bitcoin has no jurisdiction. So if you are a Bitcoin exchange, basically anybody that has Bitcoin is able to exchange it with other people from other countries. So if you're going to be a Bitcoin exchange, how can you call yourself a crypto exchange if you are isolating people from certain countries? But that's exactly what the United States is alleging that they did. Now, this is only going to become more hypocritical as we go along. Right? This is the beginning of the hypocrisy right now. It's only going to get worse. Keep watching. Okay? Now, watch this. Like I said, from February 2018 to May 2019, Binance processed more than 275 million in deposits and 273 million in withdrawals from Best Mixer, and they're alleging other things. Most of the charges are coming from this time period, from 2019 specifically. Okay? Now, I want to share something with you. Okay? So you see this is being alleged in May 2019, and they are saying that they allow US customers to continue doing business on their exchange when the United States was telling them that they could not. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you flat out that that is a lie, and I'm going to share with you. Okay? So watch this now. June 2019, Binance publicly announced that it would block US users from Binance.com. All of this is against Binance.com. They have nothing to say against Binance US, which Binance established a US entity after this. This is all against Binance.com. So again, here you have this alleged stuff happening. Binance has no idea who's doing these transfers because it's Bitcoin, right? And from February 2018 to May 2019, they're alleging this stuff, and they're saying, oh, Binance knowingly allowed U.S. customers to continue interacting with this. I can tell you for a fact that that's not true. Why? Because one day I logged on to Binance.com and I couldn't use it because of this right here. So here I am now. I've gone from Coinbase. It's been years that I've been on Binance. Years. Happily on Binance. I log on one day, and literally 1 month after this is being alleged, 1 month after, here's Binance stepping up saying, hey, if you're from the US, you cannot use Binance.com. I was pissed. I was upset. I blamed Binance, not knowing what was going on at the time. So keep this in mind now. Okay? They are alleging that Binance disobeyed KYC and anti-money laundering laws back in 2019. Now watch this. Watch this now. This is not going to take long at all. Beginning in 2022 and coinciding with the proliferation of cryptocurrencies in mainstream society, U.S. Congress has introduced several bills aimed at providing more clarity to the emerging sector. Do I need to read that again? Beginning in 2022, they introduced new bills. In other words, there was no KYC AML United States by the book law in 2019. And you're trying to go after, not trying, successfully went after a company that's not based in the United States at a time where you didn't even have laws in place. I told you it was only going to get more suspicious. So here's the United States government so concerned about the safety of the United States citizens. We don't want them involved with terrorism. And we're so concerned about the customer and so on and so forth. Keep that in mind. Now, what I want to share with you now is how many other crypto exchanges have failed for various reasons leading up to this point. Mt. Gox. Mt. Gox was one of the most notorious crypto exchange failures in history, founded in 2010. That's really the beginning. Began Bitcoin trading in 2011. By 2014, the exchange had become the largest Bitcoin trading platform on the internet, handling more than 70% of the total Bitcoin transactions. Some kind of way, 850,000 Bitcoin disappeared from Mt. Gox. And the U.S. government swooped in and shut them down. And those Bitcoin have never been seen before, except in the accounts owned by the U.S. government. But where was the U.S. government beforehand? Where were they before? Where was the regulation to prevent this from happening? Where was that? Okay, let's keep going. Bitfinex, 2016 security breach. Right? On August 2nd, 2016, the platform experienced a lethal cyber attack in which anonymous hackers stole 119,756 Bitcoin, valued at around 72 million at the time, currently 3.2 billion at current prices. Are we sure no United States people was involved in that? I'm sure that they were. I know for a fact that they were. Where was the SEC? Where was the Department of Justice to prevent this? Where was the action on this? Okay, let's keep going. Oh, here's a big one. Quadriga CX. This was a Canadian exchange. This dude, I ain't even got to read this. This dude had everybody's money in his own personal account, and then he disappeared allegedly and took everybody's money with him. This is in Canada. There were signs that things were going on before this went down. Where was the United States government then? Cryptopia, New Zealand-based exchange. They lost money. Okay. Subsequent investigation revealed that the breach was a result of highly sophisticated and intricate hacking operation. How come the U.S. government and all the governments of the world are not concerned about all the hacking of the Bitcoin that's going on at this time? I'm going to tell you plainly, it's because they didn't care. They still consider Bitcoin a little thing. They still considered it, oh, it ain't much. we're not going to focus on this. But yet, U.S. people in all of these lost money. People from the United States lost money in every single one of these hacks. Bitfinex, 2016 security breach. Okay, we talked about that, didn't we? All right. Quadriga CX. Now let's get to the big one. Let's get to the big daddy. FTX. For sure, United States people lost it. How do we know? Because FTX was using United States citizens to promote FTX. Now, even though FTX technically wasn't a U.S. company, they were founded in the Bahamas. But it doesn't get more U.S. than using Shaq, Steph Curry, and Tom Brady and others to promote your exchange. And we know for a fact that United States citizens were illegally, I'm putting that in quotations, illegally using FTX because technically FTX was not sanctioned. So how is it that the United States government, the SEC, how is it that they weren't focused on something that's ran by a dude from the United States? CZ was not born in the United States. Sam Bankman-Fried was. How is it that a guy could be born in the United States, found a company somewhere else, use U.S. people, even get the naming rights to an NBA basketball team, the Miami Heat, FTX Arena? How is that allowed? But you don't crack down on that. I'm gonna share very quickly why. And everybody knows what happened. Similar to Quadriga CX, Sam Bankman-Fried used customer funds as his own funds. He used them to buy houses and homes, buy real estate in the Bahamas, pay off officials, pay people to promote the exchange, and at the end of the day was transferring money back and forth between both Alameda and FTX. So the question is, why wouldn't the SEC be all proactive against FTX? I'm getting ready to show you. Now, here we go. We starting about to get twisty. Lawyers in Binance Securities claim that SEC Chair Gary Gensler once offered to serve as an advisor to their company. Watch this. Watch this. It's all about to come together, baby. Gensler met CZ, offered to act as Binance advisor. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission sued Binance over alleged security violations on June 5th. It's June 5th, 2023, I believe. Now CNBC has obtained, aka Binance sent in, a filing in which Binance lawyers suggest that Gensler offered to serve as an advisor to Binance's parent company. Allegedly, if y'all don't pay attention to this, Gensler and Binance executives discussed the prospect extensively in March 2019. And Gensler met Binance CEO for lunch in Japan later that month. The two remained in contact after that. Zhao later took part in an interview as part of cryptocurrency courses that Gensler previously taught at MIT. Additionally, when Gensler testified before the House Financial Services Committee in 2019, he sent CZ a copy of his remarks. Earlier reports that the Wall Street Journal cited CNBC suggested that Binance officials approached Gensler to serve as an advisor as early as 2018. But as of May 2019, the contact was cut off. Okay, that's not in here, but I'm telling you, I can't show y'all everything. I've researched it. You can research it yourself. In May 2019 is when definitively the contact was cut off. Now, it's not known whether CZ was like, yo, bro, we don't want you, or Gary Gensler was like, I'm going to go in another direction. If y'all not going to hire me and whatever, I'm going to go in another direction. I don't know what happened. If you know what happened, comment below. But here is the most important thing. FTX was launched in May 2019. Boom. This is the biggest bombshell right here. You literally have Gensler and CZ meeting from 2018 to May 2019 was the last cutoff. And literally that same month, FTX was launched. Okay, now there's two important things that you need to know about this launch. Okay, so what I'm guessing that happened, pretty sure it happened, is while Gensler is courting CZ or vice versa, Sam Bankman-Fried, who was at MIT, who has rich parents, is like, yo, I can do this. You don't need that guy. I can do this. You can just give me the money. We can just do this together. We can make it happen. And Gary's like, with my connections, we can really make this work. That's what I imagine happening, right? Two weasels talking in the sewers. That's how I see Sam Bankman-Fried and Gary Gensler. Right? So now, watch this now. Oh, the second thing, I'm sorry. I said there was another thing. What you also need to know is that once FTX was launched, they were looking for funding and ultimately could only get a little bit of funding from whoever they were approaching. Because who's going to give money to somebody who's never launched an exchange before, right? So who did Gary Gensler and Sam Bankman-Fried go to? They went to CZ and asked for money to launch a competing exchange. And for whatever reason, and I cannot understand to this day why, CZ gave them the money to launch. Those are the two important things that you need to know about this time period. Now let's keep going. FTX lost people's money. This is how you can validate what I'm telling you. They did the worst thing possible. They took people's money. All the things that the DOJ is alleging about Binance, one thing that they're not alleging is that they took money, because they didn't. Binance did not take any money. Okay? FTX took money. They still can't find the money. But yet, here's November 9th, 2023, the SEC's Gensler allows FTX 2.0. You're allowing the biggest failure to date in crypto. You're allowing that to be restarted. But the most responsible exchange in crypto, you're keeping that away. Hello? Is it making sense yet? Okay. And I have said this privately. The whole Bitcoin ETF thing being put off was because Gensler knew that FTX 2.0 was coming, and he wants that exchange to be the primary benefactor of the new Bitcoin ETF, not Binance. So they planned all along to get Binance out the way so they could benefit, because Gary Gensler was heavily invested in FTX, heavily. So much so that they really couldn't go after Binance for KYC AML because, as I told you guys, it didn't exist. Remember, they didn't really put this stuff out until 2022. They're alleging things from 2019. So what can we go after them about? We're going to go after them about a law that was created in 1970. This is pre the Fed, the Bank Secrecy Act. And this act is as vague as they come. Basically, it's about, hey, we don't want banks doing bad business. Now, Binance is not a bank. Binance isn't even a company based in the US. But we're going to sue Binance $4.3 billion, but not really. I'm going to show you guys that. That's the number that's being reported. That's not the real number. Based off the Bank Secrecy Act, because the only company in the world that is allowing illicit activity and money laundering between terrorists and other criminals is Binance. Okay. Watch this. Watch this now. Global banks defy U.S. crackdowns by serving oligarchs, criminals, and terrorists. The FinCEN files show trillions in tainted dollars flow freely through major banks, swamping a broken enforcement system. Secret U.S. government documents reveal that J.P. Morgan Chase, HSBC, and other big banks have defied money laundering crackdowns by moving staggering sums of illicit cash for shadowy characters and criminal networks that have spread chaos and undermined democracy around the world. The records show that 5 global banks, JP Morgan, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, Deutsche Bank, and Bank of New York Mellon, kept profiting from powerful and dangerous players even after U.S. authorities fined these financial institutions for earlier failures to stem flows of dirty money. We're talking about trillions of dollars. Somebody remind me real quick, because I'm not sure. Is JP Morgan still in business? Is HSBC still in business? I forgot. Is Standard Chartered Bank, is they still in business? Deutsche Bank, is they still operating? Somebody said barely. And New York Mellon, they still going, ain't they? Trillions of dollars. And you're going after this guy for alleged 400 million in deposits and withdrawals of which he don't even make no money on. The max amount that he could have made was 800,000. And you're suing this guy for 4.3 billion. Meanwhile, these dudes is moving trillions. Banks. Are US people tied to banks? Do they use banks? Do they use banks for their mortgages? Do they put their savings in banks? Do a bunch of businesses put their business accounts in banks? What about investment programs and IRAs? And don't that touch the banks? So why are you allowing this to continue to go on? But you're going halfway across the world to focus on an entity that's not even registered in the United States, that has gone out of their way to say, hey, y'all jokers in US, y'all can't use our exchange. June 2019, I experienced this personally. So much so that I left the United States just so I could continue in crypto. So don't talk to me like I don't know. I experienced this. This affected me as much as anybody else. I took my kids out of their school. I sold my house. I did all of that just because I knew that the way for me to best take care of my family was through crypto. And the way for me to impact other people's lives was through crypto. And Binance did that. It's like, no, you can't use this, bro. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So they're doing the damn thing. Literally a month after they're being alleged of all this stuff. And here you have banks allowing, and this isn't new. This is not new. This has been going on. This has been going on since the beginning of time. Criminals prefer the dollar. The reason why it's taking this long to come out is because unlike Bitcoin, you can't track the dirty money. Not the average person can't. Those behind the scenes can, but you can't track the dirty money. But you can track Bitcoin. So that's why they use dollars. When they be having them helicopters and they be throwing cash, like they throwing cash, they not throwing Bitcoin, bro. You can't throw Bitcoin out the helicopter. So this is hypocrisy at the highest level. They're not concerned about your safety. So the question becomes then, why are they so fixated with Binance? I'm going to tell you why. All right. Once the news of the FTX not misappropriating funds came out, CZ, being the guy that he is, came out and said, yo, this FTX we got, this FTT token we got, we gonna be selling that because we don't like what they're doing. And that caused the price of FTT, the FTX token, to crash. And from the investment that was made by CZ, however much he gave him, this is his words, the profit from that was 2.1 billion in FTX and BUSD. The profit from a fair business deal in which he gave them money to launch a rival exchange. A regular business deal, $2.1 billion. So now let me share with you. This 4.3 billion, which is the headline that they're going with, it's not 4.3 billion, y'all. It's really only a fine of 1.8 billion. But yet Binance has agreed to forfeit 2.5 billion. Now, this thing doesn't say what he forfeit. Forfeiting 2.5 billion of what? 2.5 billion. What do you mean forfeit? On $400 million in alleged illicit transactions, I gotta pay a fine of 1.8 billion and forfeit 2.5 billion. What's the 2.5 billion? This right here. This right here. The money that he legally made investing in FTX. This man gave them money to launch what would be a shady exchange. I'm sure he didn't think it was going to be shady, but he recognized, hey man, I got to play both sides. They hating on me. They really don't want to work with me because I'm Chinese, even though I grew up in Canada. Like I'm legit Canadian, right? But they don't want to work with me because I'm Chinese. I'm just keeping it real, y'all. So he recognized that. And here they come crawling to him for money. He's nice enough to give it to them. I wouldn't have gave them a damn dollar. But he gave them the money. He legitimately makes this money. And they come after his legitimate money that he made on alleged 400 million in transfers. Do y'all not understand that Binance does billions and billions in volume every single day? And to insinuate that he's profiting from these terrorists and criminals who are doing these baby transactions when literally there's 40 or 50 billion transactions. And I'm sorry, the value of the transactions in Tether every single day. 40 to 50 billion of which Binance benefits the most from that. And you talk about some, these little $400 million over the course of 5 years. He ain't pay attention to it because it didn't matter. Because there were no laws in place. You come out with the laws later and you hitting dudes with the fines for when the laws didn't exist. It's all because Gary Gensler and Kevin O'Leary and a lot of other bigwigs, they lost money when CZ started selling the FTT tokens. That's what it's all about. Okay, and if you don't believe me, here's FTT at $70 and $50 before the collapse, and here's FTT after, from $70 to $1. Now I'm gonna show you something else that's super strange. You're going after Binance. Sam Bankman-Fried is going to jail. Why would the coin of an exchange that's not even in business, not even operating right now, why would this be going up? Hello? I told y'all it was only going to get stranger. Why the heck would this be going up? Sam Bankman-Fried was sentenced on November 9th. Look what happened November 8th. It was $1.30 something. November 9th, we're at $2.31, and it's been running since then. And when the CZ news came out, it was $3, and now it's $4.40 something cents. Tell me where that makes sense. That's because this is what they're playing the whole time to legitimately take this man's, or I should say illegitimately take this man's legitimate money. Legitimate money. Oh, by the way, if you don't know, they shut down the BUSD stablecoin too, because somehow that was involved in illicit activity that they don't have any evidence for. And BUSD is produced by Paxos, and USDC is produced by Paxos, but BUSD is bad. They shut that down, but yet USDC is allowed to continue. This is crazy. So now what you have happened, guys, is the same rascals. We got to go back to 2008. We got to go back to 2008. It was the U.S. financial system that caused the 2008 global financial crisis. And basically, what did they do? They created derivatives of all kind of stuff. Derivatives is like not real. Just not the actual thing. I can't buy a house, so I'm going to actually trade derivatives of a house so we can trade on the movement of the house. Pay attention. Not the actual house. And so to the point where the derivatives market was bigger than the actual housing market. If you added up all the houses in the world, the derivatives market was bigger than all the real estate in the United States, which is what the derivatives was based on. Right? And once the bubble hit, it hit and it took out everything, and it wiped out regular people who were not involved in this stuff, people who can't even explain what this stuff is. Their accounts were wiped out. Hello? And that is the reason why Bitcoin was created. This is the reason. And what we have now started to do, we have now started to give Bitcoin back to the people who destroyed the original system in the first place. In other words, the very thing that Bitcoin was built to fight against, we're now slowly, by giving this to BlackRock, we're giving them more and more control to allow them to do the same things with crypto as they did with housing. What do you think this Bitcoin ETF is about? The reason why they want the Bitcoin ETF is not to own Bitcoin. You don't need a ETF to own Bitcoin. You just own Bitcoin. No, they want to have the ETF, which is still going to require them to have Bitcoin, which is going to be good for Bitcoin holders. But basically, they just want to trade it and not have a wallet, not have to deal with the C words, and have a US based company running everything so that if something were to happen, they can go after a name, a face. The reason why all of this stuff is happening, what they basically sued CZ for was the creation of Bitcoin. That's what they sued him for. All CZ did was allow Bitcoin to be Bitcoin. He made Bitcoin easier for everybody. So he just simply allowed Bitcoin to be Bitcoin, didn't touch nobody's money, didn't steal nobody's money, and they went after him for the largest fine in U.S. history, even though he's not a U.S. company. Yet these U.S. banks are dealing with trillions of dollars in dirty money. Come on, guys. Don't you see it? You have to see it. So the mistake that CZ made, and I have long held this belief, and now it has come to fruition. The mistake that CZ made was trying to get this stuff regulated in the first place. CZ was the main dude that was always pushing for regulation, and I always thought that that was a mistake. Going back to my experience with Coinbase, everything was cool until I showed them my face. And understand, y'all, there can be no anonymous regulation. Regulation can only happen if they're able to identify you. In other words, you gotta have an ID. I can only regulate your country if I know that you're from that country. In order to know that you're from that country, I need an ID. I can't keep you out of my country unless I know where you're from. I can't stop you from interacting with this thing unless I know where you're coming from. Right? The reason why MetaMask shut down people from Venezuela is because they knew who the people from Venezuela was and they shut them down for a little while. That's the regulation that we're talking about. You gotta have identification before you can regulate. Bitcoin has no CEO. They have nobody that they can go after. Trust me, if they did, if they knew who Satoshi was, they would go after them. It's a credit to Satoshi that they can't find him or her. But they basically sued CZ for allowing Bitcoin to be Bitcoin. And as I said, the mistake that he made was trying to get in bed with these dudes, trying to basically do the right thing. Thinking that, hey, everything is fair, right? They're not trying to maliciously come after me. Let's have regulation. So he built the biggest regulatory squad in all of crypto. He hired former U.S. executives. In fact, he hired the person in charge of the Mt. Gox receivership. He hired that person as a part of Binance. Trying to do the right thing. You cannot have something like Bitcoin, something that's decentralized, and invite regulation at the same time. It does not work. Even now, some of you are trying to buy certain tokens. Some of you are trying to buy certain things. You're telling your family and friends about this coin and that coin, and they're finding it hard to buy stuff. Why? Because of regulation. Why? Because you got to wait. All because the bank gonna take 4 or 5 days. All because we didn't get your ID. All send your ID back clear. Make sure you use bright lights. Make your skin as white as possible. That's what they trying to say. Don't be sending us no dark stuff. You know how many messages and DMs I got? Bro, Coinbase won't take my KYC. They said my picture too dark. Dude, I'm standing in front of a spotlight. They said my picture too dark. I'm like, my brother, it ain't enough light in the world for our skin. That's what they trying to tell us. That's what they went after. So now they can control who comes in and out. So here's what crypto needs to do. For those of you who are listening to this, crypto must go back to its roots. It's got to go back to its roots. We have to get people in crypto the way that Satoshi wanted us to get people in crypto, which is anybody, anywhere, at any time should be able to interact with this system on a peer-to-peer level. So hear me, people that care about crypto, people that want to develop things for crypto. We have to have things that allow people to interact with the system in an anonymous way, or they're going to regulate everybody out of this business and only leave it to the cronies. And it starts with the onboarding. We have to onboard people without faces, without ID, and allow them to be able to get in and use the system. Otherwise, they're going to regulate it all away. I'm telling you. That's what we have to do. That's what Satoshi wanted. Bitcoin does not require an ID. When you go to a Bitcoin ATM, or if somebody, most importantly, this is probably the easiest way, if somebody has Bitcoin already, and this is what we're not doing, and this is, like I said, this is the issue that I had with CZ. Later on, I think he figured it out, because in places like Nigeria, he allowed them to build a peer-to-peer system. And wouldn't you know it, it's the #1 system in the world, because, you know, in places like Nigeria, they don't have a legit banking system. So they literally trade with each other. So you can go on Binance and you can take your Naira or whatever other currency, you know, from whatever country you're from that's underserved, and you can get Bitcoin. And now you can take that Bitcoin and buy groceries or whatever else you're going to do with it. That's what Bitcoin, we were never supposed to be married to banks. We were never supposed to be interacting Bitcoin and banks ever. Why the hell would Satoshi build a system to get away from the banks, and then all we do is go connect the banks back to Bitcoin? Hello? That don't make no sense. So we got to get back to basics. And so we need people to help people. We need these developers to develop things that allow anybody anywhere to participate in the economy. And they will be judged in terms of not their face or where they're from, but their activities. Anybody that's doing illicit activities within Bitcoin or other blockchains is very easy to see. It's the easiest thing to see in the world. You don't need the IRS. You don't need detectives. Anybody who is able to read a legitimate blockchain, which is an open source blockchain, can see, hey man, you're trying to do some things. Hey, you stole some money from somebody. Hey, you fished some money from somebody. You created a scam contract. It's the easiest thing in the world. So you get judged based on your behavior of that address, not your face, not what country you're from. We got to go back to that. And so what I want to see is more products coming out like that. And what I'm going to be talking about in upcoming videos is products that are pushing the true essence of Bitcoin, which is peer-to-peer, which is anonymous, which is fair, which is non-inflationary, only 21 million, but yet divisible 8 decimals, so that if you want to send somebody literally 21 cents or $2.01 or 40 cents, you can. And any blockchain that doesn't allow the facilitation of small transactions is going to be eradicated. It's going to be obsolete. I'm saying it. I'm calling it. Okay? That's what we got to do. That's what we got to focus on. In the future, that's what I'm going to be talking about. It's your boy BSG. I'm going to holler at y'all in the next video.
It's going to be on the order of a few weeks. So that's definitely in the plan, and hope to be able to turn that on quickly. Let's see. Is my moderator back yet? I think I lost my moderator.